Today we're talking about Superman from 1978.
The thumbnail for this is going to be us three like this.
Then you get the flying scene, which this is iconic and has been shown.
Oh, it sucks so f***ing bad.
Thank you.
Oh my god, the voiceover is
the poem.
ridiculous.
Come on, guys.
Holy shit. This is my impression of Margot Kidder. Hey, doll.
You remember when Margot Kidder was here?
Oh, we loved you in the Superman movies. You were just wonderful.
How did they get that footage?
Four, three, two, one.
Cue music.
Do you like pink?
I like pink very much, Lois.
Welcome to Be Kind, Let's Rewind, the nostalgia podcast no one asked for, with your hosts, Chris, Leaf, and Shadwick.
An ass.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Be Kind, Let's Rewind, the nostalgia podcast no one asked for. Today we're talking about Superman from 1978. Let's just go straight in, man, because obviously this was out before any of us were born. I actually, oddly enough, have a very fond memory of my family sitting around watching this either rented or on TV. And as soon as this music hit on the fucking rewatch, I was like a kid again. And I know you had that in your synopsis, Leaf, but it's like, it's really what happens as soon as that music hits. I was transported back with my family on the couch when they still liked me, and I was a cute kid.
Yeah, I had a weird thing too. Like, just like you're saying, you're like transported back to your childhood, and then like 17 minutes into the credits, you're like, God damn. I sure am glad they put credits at the end of movies now.
Yes, this is a 2 hour and 20 minute movie that could have easily been 1 hour and 45. So
Yes.
Gibbs, what about you, man? Where do you first remember seeing Superman?
Dude, I don't remember because that's how early I was watching this fucking thing. I've been watching it for my entire life.
Yeah.
Like it really is another one of those movies that I can't remember my life without.
That's awesome. Leaf, what about you, man?
Same thing. I have a moment similar to you when this is one of the movies, like the rare times when before the internet and, shout out to our AOL episode, like
go check it out.
Changed the world forever. This is one of the movies that we gathered around the freaking family 26-inch television and just like watched the whole thing together. Like all of us did. Like together, just like
I know,
watching
and it's so good, and we'll get into the acting and everything. But I can't imagine that your dad gathered around with all 5 members of your family without having a little.
He did.
Get out of the street, you fucking bum!
We called it firewater.
Damn it! I was ready for Shadwick to chime in. All right, so tonight, fuck work, guys. So here it is, some Crown Royal, and
that glass is full, dude.
Good luck, everybody else. So, in my defense, there was ice poured up to the very top of that, so that is a little watered down whiskey. It looks a little worse than it is, but I'm still going to be flying high like Superman. Shadwick, what about you, man?
I never drink when I fly. So I'm going to take some red kryptonite.
Oh boy, here we go, man.
Yeah, dude.
Leaf, are you joining me?
I'm going to join you, my good friend. Although probably, a few steps lower, dude. So I'm drinking Jim Beam, the Sunshine Blend.
Nice.
And I'm not going to lie to you, man. It is really good in sweet tea, in ginger ale, and to numb the pain of existential like dread. in my life consistently.
Well, good, man. And also, by the way, before we get to Gibbs, if you guys have any suggestions for booze of the week, if you own a brewery, beer company, you want to us to feature you on booze of the week, we're very cheap. A $6 will do us.
We'll do it. We drink it. We'll drink it.
We'll drink it. You make it, we'll drink it, man. So Gibbs, what do you got?
Heroin.
This week, Gibbs drinks heroin out of a fire hose.
From our new sponsor, heroin.
This is your kit, kids.
Yeah.
Try it out. This is why I don't have belts anymore. No, I'm having
the first one's free.
Another dragon fruit cannabis.
Yeah.
Nice, dude. You're digging those, man. And also, all the people trying to ban that don't sponsor our podcast.
Fuck you.
It comes from the earth, man.
It does, man. That's why I'd be all like, "Fuck Hector." Before we get started, shout out Rewinder of the month, Nick. Stash is trash, dude. Sent some funny shit, dude. The other day, he sent me this Ultimate Warrior video on Instagram, and it's just somebody putting captions down on like when he's saying Hulk Hogan, but it was like Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan! Hulk Hogan! Do you, Hulk Hogan? Hulk Hogan!
It's like, because he pronounced it so weird every time, so now I can't fucking unhear it. So anyway, Nick, hope you enjoy your swag you got. And if you didn't already check it out last week, I did a guest spot on our Brudda's podcast, Sleepy Dad's podcast. So go back, check it out in the archives. We were kicking around some Grandma's Boy stuff. So go watch that. And guys, with that, let's just get over into the topic of Superman. Leaf, hit us up with some boring ass facts.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the uninitiated, Superman, also known as, of course, Superman the movie, is a 1978 superhero film based on the DC comics, featuring obviously the illustrious Christopher Reeves.
Nice.
It is the first of 4 installments of the Superman film series.
There's no S on that.
Superman?
Yeah, I know. It fucked me too. No, Reeves. It's Reeves.
Everybody does it. So there was George Reeves.
George Reeves.
Hold on, let me look here. Well, I'll be damned.
Dude, I did the same shit.
Christopher Reeve.
I've always said it as
And
Reeves.
when I text it, and I was like, yeah, the Superman, the Reeve Superman, it felt wrong. I was like, it's supposed to be Reeves. And it's just the timelines merging. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, well, also, like when you're a child, you're really fucking stupid. Yeah. And so like you start saying things like Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Hulk
Hogan.
Hulk
Yes.
Hogan.
Yeah. Hulk Hogan. Yes.
Yeah. I always thought the song Earth Angel was Hearth Angel.
That's right.
I thought it was a Hertz rent-a-car commercial.
Don't be proud of your ignorance, Leaf.
Yeah. And I always thought that ABBA was a really shitty band.
Addis Ababa?
I like Ace of Base.
I love the money pit. That is my answer to that statement.
That's Leaf's response.
The film was directed by Richard Donner, based on a screenplay by Mario Puzo, David Newman, and Leslie Newman. Woo. And Robert Benton. Dude,
you guys realize that Puzo was the guy that wrote The Godfather, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And of course, it has the ensemble cast, including Marlon Brando, Gene Hackman, Jeff East as young Superman, Margot Kidder, Glenn Ford, Phyllis Thaxter, Jackie Cooper, for those who don't remember anything about the 70s and early 80s, just like an all-star cast.
And okay, so I'm just gonna get it out of the way. You said Margot Kidder, right? Which leads me over to shit stick in my head this week.
Don't do this, man.
Yeah, I guess I could. I just hope it goes okay. We've had some bad luck with dinner guests. You remember when Margot Kidder was here?
Oh, we loved you in the Superman movies. You were just wonderful.
How did they get that footage?
I just had to get it out early, man. I had to get it out early. We laughed so hard at that. We were watching Family Guy at the apartments and shit. It feels good.
Didn't she have like her teeth knocked out by a beer bottle or something crazy like that?
Several mental breakdowns. It's fun to laugh at mental illness. But anyway,
or as Leaves people calls them retards.
It is the Native American term for them, yes.
So anyway.
So you can't touch it, people.
So look, I'm telling you, when I started watching this, you know what you fucking reminded me of? There's two people, but the one out of the gates.
Crackcore?
Jan Hooks. Like when she had certain hairstyles, like she reminded me of.
They're both pretty fucking ugly.
And then when fuck that, Jan Hooks is, I love her. But so the other one, when she's giving the speech at the end by the car, she has some Rashida Jones in there, and it was like maybe it was the voice or whatever, and maybe it was again the hairstyle.
It's the thin lips.
Okay, maybe that's what it is.
They don't satisfy men.
And the sunken eyes from
lifeless eyes. Black eyes, like a doll's eye.
Shout out our Jaws episode.
I just know that I know a lot of people are probably going to be mad that we did that. You know, if you watch the show a lot of times, because Margot Kidder, all joking aside, all kidding aside, she was like the Lois Lane, like of our generation.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
Like we roast and make fun of everything, but like legitimately, like this was Lois Lane when people still
until 1993.
Yeah, we'll get to that too.
Well, when people for me. When people say like, you know, Superman and Lois Lane, Margot Kidder is in my head.
Yeah,
like,
no, I'm with you. I'm with you. And I mean, this whole cast is kind of iconic, like because it's your first one, right? But then you realize like how far they had to go to get this movie done the way it was done, and how many big steps were taken just to do this movie.
Right.
Is pretty fucking insane.
Speaking
for
of
78 too.
Well, let's jump in there real quick because we had nobody really wanted to do this movie. Some producers, they were brothers, right? Gibbs, the Salkinds. Yeah. They just decided to produce this movie and just started fucking throwing money everywhere. They got like, you know, we talked about. They got the writer from The Godfather. They got the fucking actor from The Godfather and Marlon Brando. I wonder, did Brando get Richard Pryor cast for Superman 3?
That was, I don't know if that was discussed.
That was a gentleman's agreement.
Was that a caveat?
It's a gentleman's agreement they had. A backdoor deal, I believe.
I don't know how much they paid Marlon Brando for this, but the budget was $55.
I want to say $2 million is what I heard.
Damn, dude.
For 78.
So the budget, I think it was like $2.5 million.
Yeah, which is insane back then.
2 weeks worth of work. And didn't memorize any of his lines.
He tried to get James Caan to play Superman because they worked together on Godfather.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine James Caan as fucking...
No.
The studio wanted Robert Redford, which I could kind of see that just because he has that, like, just command.
He's got an everyman kind of quality to him.
I could see that, but by comparison...
now it would have been awesome if he played it as like Jeremiah Johnson with like the big fucking beard and all that shit.
And the meme.
Grizzly Adams didn't have a beard.
Yeah, Christopher Reeve's dad, when he told him, you know, I think they were all. I want to say, I think Jeff Daniels and Christopher Reeve were on a play together, and then Christopher Reeve was like, "Hey, I'm going to London to." Audition for this. And he's like, "What movie?" And he's like,
"You sound like you're from London."
Yeah, it's Superman. And they were like, "Don't do," like the head guy there, like the director was like, "Don't do it. You'll ruin your career," and all this shit. And he's like,
"What career?"
Yeah, Christopher Reeve's own dad, when he was like, "I got this part for Superman," his dad thought it was like some play. And so his dad was super stoked that, and then when he found out it was like the comic book Superman, he was like pissed off and was like,
I hope you fall off a fucking horse.
And the rest is history.
He said that shit. I heard it.
I think the movie was filmed for $55 million. That was the budget, and it pulled in a paltry sum of $300.5 million.
I mean, for real though, like 78. Like you talked about throwing money at it, 55 million and 78. 55 million now is a lot, like can be a lot. 55 million and 78 is astronomical. This movie is just one of those now where it's like we said, the music hits, the movie starts, and then you're just like a kid again, because this is what we grew up on. This was on TV constantly.
Right. The film opens with a black and white 1938 style newsreel prologue, right? It shows a young boy reading Action Comics.
You know what's crazy is I don't remember this whenever I was a kid. Like,
I don't know either.
Like whenever I was watching it this time around, I was like, where the fuck did this come from? Because I don't remember this one goddamn
You think this was taken off of TV?
So I called my dad and I said, what the fuck is going on, Dad? And he was like, Who is this? We haven't talked in years.
It's like, how did you get my
He's
number?
like, son?
Richard?
Yeah.
And so you could already tell, obviously, this is a trash comic book because the news, the Daily Planet is depicted as trusted and truthful. Right? Remember them days? I don't.
Nope. No one ever does.
Basically the child reads the comic book, he opens it up, and it's basically about the Daily Planet, which again, like Gibbs, I don't remember like any of this. It's sort of centered on like the Daily Planet and like how like this is sort of like the middle of the Depression, and they are, they're the ones that people turn to for updated news and the truth. So, I don't remember this at all, and I wonder if I remember the Krypton shit, like, to start off, right?
Yeah.
Like
that's what I remembered.
I'll tell you for sure, I don't remember it because the copy that I had of this movie that I watched countless times when I was a kid was the longer extended TV version. I think we recorded off of Fox.
Oh wow, okay.
And you guys remember with a VCR, like you could like set the time.
You can do slow play, long play,
but you could like set the time to record.
Oh yeah.
So I think we had done that, and it was one of those like Sunday afternoon movies, and something ran a little bit long, maybe
the Braves game.
So there was a portion of the Krypton scene was like cut out. So like I know it now because I watched it in full when I was, teenager probably, but the whole time growing up, you didn't even see, was it Zod, Ursa, and Non? I didn't even see that part.
Really?
So that seems just
wow.
Like,
yeah. That's
okay. That's.
I also imagine your dad is Matty from Ted 2, where he's like,
"Oh Jesus Christ, Susan, is that the last one? God damn it! Now what am I supposed to have for my snack?"
That's what he said whenever it cut off the first of the movie.
Maddie.
So as it zooms in on the Daily Planet, like it sort of pans up into the sky, and again, it's sort of the still like black and white, like old school comic book-esque like scene, right? Like even the curtains open up at the very beginning. It's just really like I don't remember like any of that. And as it goes into the sky, that's when it's just instant like nostalgia, like absolute nostalgia when that plays. But as we're flying through space after the 30-minute credit scene, you finally see this red sun, this big gigantic like red giant, right? And it zooms in on that and then down and around, and then there's a blue planet, and of course that's what we recognize, or most people would immediately, as Krypton. And it zooms in on Krypton, and then this icy shithole of a planet. I guess it's made out of crystals. Like maybe y'all can explain what the hell like this like Krypton actually.
I didn't see any hamburger.
It's actually crystal meth that was produced in New Mexico.
That's why they can all fly.
I am so fucking ready.
That's what I was going to say. So it turns out they can't actually fly. That's just what they think. So.
But they can run through walls.
Yes, they can. Yeah.
They're faster than a speeding bullet.
This is what Shattuck missed after recording his copy off of TBS back in 1981. Like they're evidently having like
Superstation.
They're having a trial for basically 3 criminals. And we instantly see Jor-El, played by Marlon Brando, with the white hair, dude. Iconic. Sometimes, again, this is sort of in my head. People mention Marlon Brando. I picture him with the white hair and the curly Q.
Well,
that's
when we knew him.
Yeah, dude.
Exactly. Like it's when I first remember
watching this last night as an adult on HD on the projector. I know it's a lot of bad wigs.
Yeah, I did notice that.
There's some terrible, and even purposefully when it comes to Lex Luthor, but we'll talk about that like later on. But it's in the trial of course, General Zod, Ursa, and Non. 3 treasonous criminals are being sentenced to the Shadow Realm. I think it's called the Phantom Zone.
Oh, is that what we're in YouTube right now?
So the guy
that's where you go if you get shadow banned on YouTube. Yeah. It's called the Phantom Zone.
That's where Be Kind Let's Rewind rules the roost.
Oh fuck, dude! The thumbnail for this is going to be us three like this.
Put me in the Phantom Zone if that means I don't have to talk to any of these motherfuckers in this world anymore.
No, you're stuck with us, dude. You're stuck with us, man. So the Phantom Zone is this like flat mirror, like prison zone, and the three criminals are basically guilty of trying to take over the planet and rule, specifically led by General Zod.
Oh, son of Jor-El! Kneel before Zod! Snitchy boochies.
Dude, I don't know if there's any comic book version of the Phantom Zone or where General Zod and like is this like do any of y'all know anything about that? Because I think it's perfect time to throw that in there because like
what do you got, Shaddy?
No, Gibbs, you got it.
It's comic book accurate. But anyway, the guy that played Zod is played by Terence Stamp, who went on to play the voice of Jor-El in Smallville. So not only did he play Zod, he played his counterpart later on.
But yeah, he's great. Basically, they're trying to stage a coup. They're wanting to overthrow Krypton's government and be like the overlords. He's being sentenced, and he's still trying to get Jor-El to join him. Like, we can rule together. Jor-El's have none of it. So Zod swears that he'll one day kneel before him, and so will his heirs.
I swear it. No matter that it takes an eternity, you will bow down before me.
There's not many things that Man of Steel approved upon, but I think the Phantom Zone.
Yeah, this is what happens whenever you have a director named Dick.
He was just being one.
But immediately after that,
dicks are always just trying to find a triangle.
Jor-El warns the Council of Incompetent Robot Elders
and a corrupt government of incompetent robot elders.
That's for sure.
Quiet, Jimmy.
To stop the panic. They basically warn Jor-El not to say anything about it. And he's just like, I will not leave Krypton.
They're like, global warming my ass.
Dude, ain't nothing terrible gonna happen today.
Trust this science, motherfucker.
It's metaphorical.
Yeah.
And so Superman, obviously, Jor-El knows the truth. Like, I don't know how come he's the only one that knows, but him and his wife, Laura, played by Susanna York, decide to send their infant son, Kal-El, to Earth to basically give him a chance, but also because he's Jor-El is actually completely aware of Superman's going to end up having insane powers when he says he's fully, and I don't know if the comic book is any different, but he knows is his boy, because obviously he wants to give him the best chance of survival. He's a baby.
Let me ask you this about the comic, and when the comic first started, it was just straight up just Superman being Superman, right? There was no origin story. There's none of that shit. They went back and did that, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
The way that you should do it.
Right. Well, you don't want to waste your time finding an origin story if the comic fails.
It's because the planet is doomed, and so Jor-El puts his son Kal-El in a little spiky space ball.
Yeah. He gave him a little bit of a Foreman grill so that he could kind of keep fed.
Dude, it cuts the damn fat, man. Shout out George Foreman, R.I.P. Dude, he sends him off, dude, and I mean, right as he sends his son off, his son's crashing through the pod is crashing through the ceiling, the planet starts getting obliterated, dude. I don't remember the people of Krypton falling in the sky and you know what I mean?
I just remember it blowing up, and that may have been also a TV edit. I don't know.
Dude, me too. Is disturbing, bro, to watch the people's falling to their deaths.
Well, it was disturbing. I tell you what, it was not as disturbing as was a naked child on my fucking TV screen. Which happened shortly after this.
We'll get right there. I just got to shout out. As Kal-El's ship is flying through outer space, we see the triangle and Zod and them flipping through. He just buzzes by hey, idiots.
He's like,
Another thing I didn't remember was I guess the 3 years it takes him to travel from Krypton to Earth.
Dude, yeah,
he's got like all these Baby Einstein videos playing.
Yeah. The audio with Marlon Brando's voice narrating it. How much does that cost, dude?
I don't know, but it didn't work. He didn't remember any of that shit.
I know he had to be retaught later, just like most of us. So as Krypton explodes, a little tiny baby Superman is rocketed towards his brand new solar system. And as Shabak mentions, it shows him like aging. Like he actually gets older. And, later on, we find out like he had been like, I guess he's traveling at the speed of light, right? And so like it had been like thousands of years since Krypton exploded.
And this scene is really fucking cool if you're high, by the way, because they throw in this like psychedelic colors and the stars.
2001: A Space Odyssey type shit.
And it's cool as shit until he lands, and then all of a sudden you're just looking at kid dong for some fucking reason.
Yeah,
like why had to put that in there?
Well, in the script, Mario Puzo wrote "face full of cock."
And he crashes, the ship crashes, and then of course you got like Jonathan and Martha. And I know Shadwick, you want to talk about this as we kind of get into the Jonathan Martha part of this, but like played by Glenn Ford, Phyllis Thaxter.
Why'd you say that name?
Yeah, I know that's what I thought of first too. I was like, ugh, it's ruined. But they're driving down the road. The ship crashes, so they're like, oh, what the hell's that? They go check on it, and then there's just a fucking kid hanging dong in there, and they're like, well, pick him up.
There's some people want to ride too. Pick him up.
Well, he's not Jewish.
So it's fine. So Jonathan and Martha have got to be the two dumbest yokels on planet Earth, ironically, because like they catch a flat tire right as the baby space pod is crashing into Earth, and like you could tell they had never had children. Martha, really wants kids. They're older, but they still got some years left.
They thought, well, here's just a random child nude in the desert. This is probably fine.
And like Jonathan Kent is like, well, we got to get him back to his family, bro. He just crashed from outer space in a pod in a comet.
They're like, where are you from? And he just starts crying.
The jack slips, kicks out, and Jonathan is for sure going to be crushed, but. Nope. Super Dong's got the.
He's at this time.
The back of the truck.
Finally, he's wrapped up in his super baby outfit. Thank God, dude. Like no more baby.
It is funny too to just go back and look. So this is the 70s. In the 70s, like this is completely fine. Like nobody's thinking anything now. We are so fucking jaded now that we're just like.
And it was the 70s, but that truck looks like a 1929 Ford.
Yeah.
I like it.
But I think
a lot of people that make a lot of money on the farm, pal. The bank's going to take the farm.
It's every movie. Period.
I think they did that on purpose because this movie was kind of shot in 3 different styles. So you had a very sci-fi, like they went all out when they created Krypton. It was a completely like new design. I don't think that followed the comics very much. So they went really sci-fi, and I was trying to figure out last night. Their clothes were kind of glowing like a black light, and then you go to Smallville, and it's really like Saturday Evening Post, Norman Rockwell. Like it's and
I don't want to
down to earth, middle America.
Yeah, and I don't want to spend a ton of time on the childhood that the movie spent about 40 minutes on. But
good chunk of the movie. If y'all gonna rewatch it, just
48.
know that.
Yeah, 48 minutes. But I mean, it's just your typical fish out of water thing. Like he could, the football guys are kind of bullying him and shit, and it's like
when he gets older,
he could score more touchdowns in one football game than Al Bundy if he wanted to, but he, he's got to, he's taught that he's got to hide his powers, and he's trying to basically bite his lip, not be a dick. You get that one shot, where he punts the football to fucking 6 counties over,
which was a wooden football shot out of an air cannon.
Was it? That's cool.
Oh my God. It looks so cool. So like as Superman, like obviously he's adopted by Martha and Jonathan and he's raised. And so Chris is right. The next scene is him sort of being a teenager, right?
Yeah,
like
they have all these things, but you do have some fun ones here. The fun one, the faster than a
it's more powerful than a locomotive.
Okay, that's it. Yeah, so more powerful than a locomotive. You see him fucking outrunning the train to cut across.
Which, that did not age well.
It was
no. It's so.
I can't imagine even in '78 if you're watching that in theater, you're like that's not right.
It looks like you could see the wire. Like,
I don't know, man. Like, because I mean, again, we're watching it in fucking HD and shit. You know, like everything is a little more glaring. Colors don't blur the way they did on standard definition and all.
How did they get that effect? Did they just literally drag him like on a big hook? Like, does anybody know how they did that? Like,
he was on wires. Mm-hmm. There's a little girl on the train that looks out the window.
Yeah,
and the parents, the mother is Noelle Neal, which played Lois Lane in the George Reeves
oh wow,
the TV show.
Yeah,
and then she's also the old lady in Superman Returns that Kevin Spacey's Lex Luthor swindles out of her fortune right before she dies.
Oh no shit!
No way.
And
real?
then the dad was Kirk Allen, which was Superman in 1948. He was the one that,
like in the original serials.
Yeah, he's the one, like it was black and white, and he would just like bounce on something and jump, and then they turned him into a cartoon, and he'd fly off.
Okay.
Oh my God! Damn, and of course, the little girl is supposed to be in the film Lois Lane, right?
Well,
supposedly
in one cut,
the extended cut that I accidentally watched in the beginning of this.
Well, no, they deleted that from. As I understand it, they deleted that from all of the versions because if you think about it, he's 18 at the time and she's like a little kid.
Right.
So the timeline doesn't match up.
Oh.
Yeah, but he's 1,000 fucking years old.
It is true.
It's fine.
Which again goes back to why
it's true. He is white.
Kids say there ain't no law.
Ain't no law against drugs.
We saw a kid's dong earlier. Come on.
I don't want to. I love this movie. I don't want to shit on it. I was not a fan of young Clark.
No. Well, you know what? They put a prosthetic nose on him. And he had a wig. And Christopher Reeve dubbed over all of the dialogue.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's makes for really stale acting whenever the tone doesn't work with the facial movements and everything like that. I don't know if it's bad acting. Or if it's just bad ADR or something like that. But yeah, there's something that just doesn't work with it. And it also makes you hope that somebody just kills him really bad.
It's the nose for me because last night I could see the difference in color. Like his nose was a little bit green compared to the rest of his face.
Because your senses were heightened.
Kryptonite boogers.
Yeah, you had it.
Chadwick had some PEDs he was watching it on last night.
Performance-enhancing drugs when you watch this one. So we obviously get a few scenes of Superman's powers, and we sort of get that idea, right? Like he could be this amazing, like super, person like on Earth, and he wants to be, right? So for all intents and purposes, he's being raised as a human being, even though we all know he's not, right? He's struggling with like controlling his powers. I hate to tell you what I would do with my superpowers when I was 16, but like he's struggling, and the one person
your dick will be invulnerable too, Leaf. So.
Like a shotgun through her back.
But sort of one of the only people sort of holding him back, like is his surrogate father, Jonathan Kent. He's basically telling him like, look, you weren't put here to like kick footballs into outer space to score 11 touchdowns in one game, a la Al Bundy or
his record. How dare he? That's disrespectful.
All right. I'm going to jump in because
go ahead.
There's two ways of looking at this.
Yeah.
One is I don't like that the film adaptations always kill Jonathan Kent.
Yeah, what the shit is that? This isn't fucking Uncle Ben, for Christ's sake.
It's not Thomas Wayne.
I can chime in. I think I know why they did it. Like, not that I agree with it, but go ahead.
For whatever reason, they decided to do that and make that the catalyst for him to leave home and I guess discover who he truly is. Glenn Ford does an amazing job right here because I think this scene is under 3 minutes.
Yep.
And in that 2 minutes and 45 seconds, whatever it is, that guy makes you love him and look at him as a caring father.
Yep.
And then you also like feel that, you know,
feel that loss.
You feel that loss.
And pain.
Yeah. Because he has a heart attack.
Oh, no.
I mean, like you said, I get why it happens. And it seems like this is like if every superhero origin story, it seems, is like you got to have this massive loss, and then that's what the catalyst
It's fucking stupid, man.
It is.
But this one, I mean, they rectified it on TV, right? Didn't they rectify it on Lois and Clark?
I really like. I hope that like somebody realizes that whenever you lose somebody like this, you just turn into a raging alcoholic, and then you start beating the shit out of people. And it's
that's
just
how you
not
deal with
really
loss
good.
and pain.
He would knock the head out of that fucking guy, the football player. Like he would just.
He loses.
Great.
Chris, you kind of look like Sammy Davis Jr. there.
Interesting thing about Glenn Ford, he was in Blackboard Jungle, and he was listening to Rock Around the Clock in this movie, and Rock Around the Clock in Blackboard Jungle is what ushered in the rock and roll era. That's where like people, basically the country was introduced to rock and roll.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock.
So here's what I'm gonna defend the scene ever so slightly, because what I think that they were trying to convey is that, you know, as much power, and I think that that's sort of echoed at the funeral shortly after that, because after obviously Jonathan Kent has his heart attack and he dies, like you know, Martha's distraught. It's really like gut wrenching scene, right?
Yeah, no, it is.
And they're at the funeral shortly after, and Superman laments. He's just like, I have all these powers, you know, like, and I couldn't save him. And like, to me, I think that what they were trying to show is that like Superman's not God. He's not going to be able to like stop all death and sadness, that it's still going to happen regardless of the powers. And
the only way to do that would be like if you could turn back time.
Stop. Well, that's one reason why I think that, you know, we'll talk about it when it gets to that point. I mean, I think that ruined that theme, because I believe that the intention of the entire movie, and it sets it up as that, is that Superman isn't God. Sometimes he's not able to save everyone, right? Like he could save and do a lot of good, but he's not able to just stop.
I agree with what you're saying. I don't disagree with this. The scene is great. The acting is great. Everything about this is great. Shadwick's always had a, you know, when we've been having drinks talking about this, he's always had a point of contention why, like, it feels like, I mean, again, but this is 78. So this is, you know, this is not like 2024 and they did it for the 17th time,
right?
You know,
right?
It just feels like, I don't know, it just feels like whoever wrote that just didn't understand the character, because the strength of his, you know, his morality is given to him by his parents, and I think Chris, you said a while ago on TV, you know, in the 90s, Lois and Clark, his parents were still alive, and they had like all these great scenes where he would go home and they'd give him advice, and he'd talk through his problems, and you know, and that's something that really is missing from all the movies so far.
Right.
I think James Gunn maybe is not doing this.
Hopefully,
in the trailer, both parents are alive.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Originally there was an extended funeral scene in this movie, and like the football team shows up and starts picking on him, making fun of him for crying at his dad's funeral, and so he rips the dad's body out of the coffin and starts using them as nunchucks and beats the shit out of the entire football team. It was great.
I missed that scene,
like Deadpool.
Yeah.
Right. I
bet that tastes good.
They actually had that in the original test screening, and whenever everybody started walking out at that point, they were like, maybe we should cut that.
Yeah, just maybe a little bit. Yeah.
Right. I agree with.
He also called everybody a cunt. Like it was really just kind of out of character.
Yeah.
They later adapted that into The Boys,
Yeah,
we can still use this. We can still use it. We can salvage it. I agree with everything that Chadwick said. I just think that's what I believe the film was trying to say at that point in time. And
it's a movie and not a TV show too. In a TV show, you got to have a little more. You got to have a lot more angles to hit.
Yeah,
you
do. And to further to Chadwick's point, I feel like Marlon Brando actually takes that role because they got a role like in this film, right? So like obviously after Jonathan Kent's death, you get this scene where Clark is awoken late at night, shortly after, assumedly that his father dies, and there's like he finds the glowing like crystal, which I've always thought this was kryptonite, dude.
I don't know why they went with green, because that is confusing.
It's a beautiful color.
This scene though, where he wakes up in his bedroom and he's like backlit from the window.
Yeah.
His profile it really does look like Christopher Reeve with that prosthetic nose.
Yeah.
And that's the only part where he looks like Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
Otherwise the nose just took away from it.
I don't understand why they just didn't get Christopher Reeve and have him dress young. You know,
especially with his acting fucking ability, man.
He was young at that time. You know, later on you'd have like Robert Redford playing a young version of himself in The Natural, you know, and then, you know, why can't we just do that shit?
Plus, Christopher Reeve was skinny as shit when he got cast. They could have went ahead and filmed, you know.
I agree.
The way that they wrote it, though, like it wouldn't have really made a lot of sense, because what happens is young Clark Kent obviously finds this crystal, and he bids goodbye to his surrogate mother Martha and travels. Martha.
Why did you say that name?
It's his mother's name.
See, that's another thing. I never knew her name was Martha until like later on. I always referred to her as Ma Kent, you know.
That's what she's in IMDb,
like,
and that's what she's referred to as like Ma Kent. Like, so
don't worry, the Snyderverse handled that for us. Thanks.
He goes out and gets what we all thought was kryptonite when we were little kids, because it was glowing green.
Dude.
And we'd seen Super Friends. We knew that it would kill him.
He bids goodbye to Ma Kent, and he's drawn to the north for some reason. So he travels like to the Arctic, right? Like far off into the Arctic, and he takes the green shard and he yeets it into like a icy ravine, and it becomes the Fortress of Solitude. And this is where the what, you know, Chadwick and Chris were talking about earlier, suddenly Jor-El like reappears like in the Fortress of Solitude, and he sort of becomes his dad yet again. He's like, son, you don't recognize me, but let me tell you, son.
How does a good man live? What is virtue? When does a man's obligation to those around him exceed his obligation to himself?
And while he's there, and this is, and maybe Chadwick and y'all can chime in, I don't understand it. 20 years passed, and I'm not sure if he's pulled out of time and space. 12 years, excuse me. 12 years, 12 years. I'm not sure if he's pulled out of time and space, but this is where they slowly do the transition, obviously, into Christopher Reeve. And I realize this is the reason why they didn't use him, right? Like,
I think that was just kind of left ambiguous, just for the viewer to figure out themselves, because you know, it takes you on this kind of psychedelic, little trippy journey where he's explaining, what is it, 23 or 24 galaxies?
Dude, the secrets of the universe, man, like, which I didn't realize.
I still think it's a little bit confusing. If you're watching the beginning of this movie and you know Christopher Reeve, you've seen the previews, you're like, where's the chase and how do I cut to it? Because like it's a little confusing that this is where it's like, well, this kid, because he's like, what, fucking 18 or 20, and then all of a sudden he goes from looking like that to a fucking chiseled jaw with bright blue eyes and built like a brick shithouse.
Let me just tell you, this, I have a lot of favorite like one shots in this movie, but when we first see him standing there in the suit,
dude,
and he flies, dude, I believe the man could fly.
But the world will know him as Superman.
Yeah, I mean, dude, look at
so fucking beautiful.
The colors too pop so big.
Yeah,
that Superman suit, every scene, and I don't know if that's the way that they lit everything or whatever, but every single scene he's in that suit, it is jumping off the screen at you.
Yeah. Well, so they actually used a really cool camera trick. They put him on the back of a horse. Can't even get it out.
All right. Everyone just fill in the blanks. You know where he was going with this. We all know where he was going.
Those are just for the landings.
She don't
know. But like, so I wanted to say,
when you talk about, sorry, Chris, you're talking about his suit. There were actually two different versions. He had the royal blue, and then because they couldn't use a blue screen behind that, the flying scenes that did use a blue screen, they had like a turquoise colored suit, and then they tried to like match it up in post. You can kind of see that in some of the scenes.
But for 78, the whole thing was right. The whole thing was like that was like why his friends and dad and everybody tried to steer Christopher Reeve away from this, because they're like, it's a cartoon. You're you're gonna look ridiculous as fuck trying to fly.
If you saw the older Supermans.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another planet.
I think it was Richard Donner said that all the test flights that they had before Christopher Reeve all kind of looked like shit, basically.
Yeah.
But because Christopher Reeve was a glider pilot.
Yeah, that's so weird.
The one we're talking about where he's flying out of the fortress.
So cool, man.
He kind of puts his arms out and banks.
Yeah.
And that like made all the difference on how the flight scenes looked.
And there's a couple of scenes where he sort of does that body, and I have no doubt it's because of Christopher Reeve's strength, because we haven't mentioned this, like, because now he's just appeared like
and
on
this
the scene.
is where like I watching the documentary and doing research on him, like I anytime an actor like bulks up like this for a role, like, to me, you know, that's super taking your job serious, as you should.
I mean, he's the first one to do it, wasn't he? Like,
as far as I know, because he was skinny and lanky, and he put on some size. Like I think he had
32 pounds of muscle.
Yeah,
that's so much back then, guys.
They claim this new guy, David Cornsweet. They claim that he put on 40 pounds, and I mean, he was pretty skinny.
Yeah,
but 40
but
pounds,
I mean, like, but Christopher Reeve,
a lot of muscle.
You don't know, actually. I believe he just a couple classes before Andy Bernard, he was at Cornell, where he graduated.
Where'd you go to college?
Big Red Bear.
Yeah. Then he went to, but then he went to Juilliard, where he became best friends with Robin Williams. And so, if you can only imagine a class of that, like where it's like those two dudes.
Everybody's like, fuck these guys.
Imagine the losers that never mattered to anything having to sit there with Christopher Reeves and Robin Williams. You're never going to be nuts.
Speaking of fashion, a speeding bullet.
Yeah.
Man, Robin Williams.
Oh, dude, yeah. But so anyway, so when he comes into this movie, as you know, Christopher Reeve in here, and then you have him flying, you see him in the fucking suit, and he looks like $1 million. And there's no padding on that suit. That is all him. Like he's put the work. He's put the work in the gym, and then
when we saw his penis, we knew what he was packing. We knew it was going to be.
I do like they never ever do a Christopher Reeve's crotch shot in this. Like even when they're shooting up and down, but they had no problem just with some kid hanging dong back then. Like,
we're all so triggered by that one scene.
We're just triggered by it. But so you go to the Daily Planet, where you know you get introduced to everybody there. You get your first shot of Lois Lane at the Daily Planet, Margot Kidder, which I want to stop here. And I want to talk about Lois Lane just in general. And do you guys, if you had to think throughout our lives, we've had several incarnations of this.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite Lois Lane of all time if you had to pick?
Terry Hatcher.
Yep, Terry Hatcher.
Margot
I'm going to go. Really?
Yep.
I'm going Terry Hatcher too. God damn, she was so sexy.
I'm going to go Margot Kidder. Yeah.
It wasn't just the sexiness, dude. She was, I don't know. She was cute and
super witty too.
Yeah, super witty. Like I sent you guys a little clip today of just like one little scene. I think maybe where they first met or something.
Yeah.
And it's just funny.
Yeah. I will say like a close second for me is actually, and this is going to sound weird, is Kate Bosworth in Superman Returns. I thought she did a fantastic job.
Okay.
And it's not her fault that the movie sucked.
Yeah.
The reason that I dissent, I think, from you three is because I think that Margot Kidder has this sort of like over ambitious girl boss, like I'm going to conquer the world. And I don't think that that's been matched. And yeah, like obviously, Terry Hatcher, all the other actually a few Loises that have like a lot of things going for them. I really like this Lois because she's not really concerned with anything other than her career.
Well, and let's be honest, it's hard to beat the first one you see.
The thing that I don't care for her is she sounds like she smokes 20 packs of cigarettes a fucking day, and I cannot stand her fucking voice because of it. So like every time she talks, I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it is so funny you said that because she always reminded me of the lady that I took swimming lessons from when I was a little kid.
Too much stroke shatty.
And she had the fucking worst smoker's breath.
Nice.
Well, I mean,
This is my impression of Margot Kidder. Hey, doll. Will you bring me some kryptonite so I can beat the shit out of you with it?
Yeah, she sounded like the girls from Mount Pilot on Andy Griffiths.
Listen, she was
doll.
She was born and raised in Metropolis. Y'all lay off. That's what they all sound like.
That is true. There's a lot of smog.
That's not.
But anyway,
you mean New York City?
This is where you get no shit. This is where you get introduced to the Daily Planet though. Like we said, Lois, Jimmy Olsen,
the whole
Perry
crew.
White, and this is where you get Clark, which I love. This is Christopher Reeve as the nerdy fucking guy, like completely different character, completely different voice, completely different mannerisms. Amazing.
I fucking love the little touches that he has when he's playing Clark Kent.
This one,
adjusting, constantly adjusting the glasses. When I was working at Party City, I used to wear around the place Superman glasses from a Superman costume, which was really stupid because it had the Superman logo on the side of it, and I was like, I think people would figure that out. But at the time I didn't wear glasses, but I would always go around and be like, "Hello, Lois. What are you doing, Lois?"
Yeah, dude. That's what. But I'm just telling you that when you see his acting here, so was he the first one in the superhero biz to use two different voices, two different mannerisms, two different everything for this character?
The first one I could think of.
This was the first serious comic book movie.
You would have to
but you still had TV shows and stuff. Where it just seems like.
Well, you'd have to reach before 1978.
Yeah,
though.
that's
true.
In
1977, we had two different people playing the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, just to have the fun for the evening, go with the flow.
No, we didn't. Shut up.
Well, we had David.
Shut up, dude. No, we didn't. It was the same dude, man.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I doubt it.
Bill Bixby grew like 7 inches, and
it's not a big deal.
Yeah,
this is the first one we remember where he and his acting here is
Louis.
is substantial. Like he is this nerdy character, but also remember, like he's been trained for 12 years with the voiceover of Jor-El, who sort of reminded him of all that. And that's the other thing too, is like Jor-El does really explain it. It does ramble on, right? Like Marlon Brando gives this voiceover that tells him he sort of knows like all the secrets of the universe. He's like trained in like all of the ways, and so like he really is a full Superman here, and he is trying to blend in now among the mortals without like revealing, his ability and power.
It's so good. I mean, and it's your stereotypical fucking angry editor in chief. Like you got to get the story. Like who's going to give me this Spider-Man? Yeah, I was going to say, give me that goddamn picture of Spider-Man this week. And so this is just an introduction scene, right? So you get introduced to the whole thing, and
the crew.
Clark comes in, and Lois is going to show him to his desk and all that shit. And
tries to sabotage him immediately out of the game. This is why I love Mario Kidder,
giant chain-smoking bitch.
Yes. Yes, dude. That's what Lois Lane is.
And what kind of stories is she writing where she needs help spelling massacre and rapist?
I'll take the rapists for 200. That's therapists.
One of my favorite parts is she asked Jimmy Olsen, or one of them, or maybe it's Clark. She asked him how many T's are in bloodletting.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, though. That's the character of Lois. She's really like
the masturbating dog killer.
She's a sensationalist. If it sounds from basic, but that's not a go-getter. That's a sensationalist.
No, she is a go-getter because that's how she ends up on the. No, you're wrong.
No, she's too busy fucking buying cartons of cigarettes.
You're wrong.
Fucking Camels unfiltered and shoving them up her party.
You could say she's a sensationalist, but she couldn't spell it.
No, she had a spell check back there. So I mean, with everything going on with all those, I guess was this filmed in Detroit?
If you haven't watched the podcast, nobody has any clue about that joke, dude. That's a Gibbs joke from the first episode.
Dude, just go back and watch. We just always rip on Detroit because they know what they did.
So yeah,
dead or alive, you're coming with me.
She immediately. This is one scene that I will pull out from like all of these introduction scenes because Chris is right. You meet the chief Perry, or the editor Perry White. You meet Jimmy Olsen. All the characters if you're a Superman fan that you know about. But like Lois Lane tries to sort of sabotage like Superman, and he calls her out. It's one of my favorite scenes because he's pretending he can't open the bottle that the chief like hands to him to open for him because that guy's just a narcissist. Right. And she slams it on the desk and then hands it back, and he finally does open it and explodes all over him. And she's just like, "Oh, I'm sorry." He was like, "Yeah." Superman looks her dead in the eye. He's just like, "Yeah, like why would you try to humiliate somebody you don't even know?" Yeah. And you see a stunned look on Margot's face. She's like, "Oh." Like he knew what you were doing. You were trying to you were the new editor. She's really competitive.
I didn't think that she was doing that on purpose. I thought
no, she did that on purpose.
She did.
Yeah,
she was being a giant cunt, and that's why she looked like a giant cunt, apologetic giant cunt afterwards.
So you can see why the reason Gibbs hates her is the reason that I love her is because she was being.
You have a thing about chain smokers?
I don't have a thing. I didn't say I want to have sex with Margot Kidder. I'm saying the character is really believable.
How do you judge if you like women or not?
Chadwick's like Chadwick confused. What do you mean, love woman without sex?
Unga bunga.
There's already a competitive dynamic between Lois and pretty much everybody else, like in the film. But immediately,
it's a reporter world, though. Back then,
and you know how hard it is for a woman to make it in the business back then.
I didn't want to say it, but you brought it up. I didn't want to say it, but you brought it up. I mean, she's the first like third wave feminist, man. Like she really is. She's literally trying to step on everybody's throat, including men and anybody else. She can get ahead because.
She probably could have gotten ahead a little easier if she looked more like Miss Tessmacher.
That's very true.
Good point. Because
this brings us to our next scene.
The next scene is Otis. Our good boy, bumbling Otis, usually denoted in the film by the big oboe that's playing.
You mean Mimsy?
He really took it to you good, huh? Shut up, Mimsy.
Yeah, played by Ned Beatty, who was the guy that got fucked in Deliverance. Yeah. He squealed like a pig.
Nice. Yeah,
but not in this. On this, he's just.
You think he prefers to be remembered as Otis or the guy that got fucked?
Hey man, if you remember me for getting fucked in the butt or as Otis, I'd be okay with it.
Hollywood's Hollywood, man.
Just remember me.
Don't act like he's the only one in Hollywood that had that happen to him. All right,
he's did I put the coordinates in right, boys? Is what basically.
Yeah,
what
and he plays it so well, man. He's so lovable in this character.
Man, I wonder what Brando thought about that scene.
That's his friend Richard Pryor.
And so Otis is walking down the street, and obviously, he's a criminal. Like you could tell, he tries to steal a newspaper from a blind guy. That's a funny
dude. That
scene.
Was so good. The dog, dog corrects him.
Yeah. He tries to steal a newspaper from a blind guy who's who's a newsie, and as soon as he does, the dog starts barking, and he's like, okay.
He's like, nah, sorry, boys.
He pays the guy. Like he's just a low IQ idiot criminal.
Fucking Bebop, Rocksteady, everything that we've all grown up on.
Right.
And there's two detectives like following him, hoping that he's going to lead them to Lex Luthor, which you don't ever get an explanation of how he's known or whatever. But did you notice that the cop that doesn't die is the captain in Lethal Weapon?
No.
Really?
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Good call, dude. No, I didn't notice that at all.
Which is also obviously directed by Richard Donner.
All right. So speaking of that, like, so Otis runs into the subway and he disappears through a secret passage, but he's followed by a detective,
which is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Yeah,
I love that kind of thing. And so the cop tries to do the same thing, but Lex Luthor intervenes and ends up like pushing him in front of an oncoming train.
Yeah. His secret lair is bad fucking ass.
Yeah,
That pool where you walk down in it like that, dude.
If I ever won the lottery, I'd make a recreation of that room.
Of Lex's,
they never said, but was that supposed to have been like a sunken hotel or something? Because I noticed last night, just like in the background, there were things labeled like restaurants. You know, it had like a giant,
I mean that would make sense.
It had like a giant library.
Good
or
point.
like a either hotel or
I didn't catch any
failed
of that.
like sub-city strip mall situation or something.
Yeah. No, I don't know, but like either way, after that we're introduced to our three villains, right? Obviously, we've already met Otis, but in the secret lair, of course, is Lex Luthor.
Let's get to the important one.
Super crime genius, and of course, hold on, hold your ears, Miss Tessmacher. I'm gonna be doing that a lot,
and she is thick in all the right places.
Oh,
now,
she's so fine, dude.
Man,
yeah, I was in love.
We're all just like,
we all just like gooning right now.
Whenever I was a kid, I thought that she was the most beautiful person in the world.
Same here, dude. Same here.
Gosh,
I was like, why do I like Grandma better?
I appreciated her more as an adult, though. I feel.
Yeah.
Yes. I was just real confused as a child. I was like, fuck Superman. Like, more scenes of this chick. I don't know why.
Looking down, seeing what was going on down there, I was like, what is this thing?
So it's like, I want to be Lex now, dude.
Yeah. No shit. And that led him on his path to life. But this is something that Shadwick also talked about off air. The background, the reason, the cause, the whole premise of this version of Lex Luthor, little flat, nothing against Gene Hackman. He nailed what he was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just almost like it's out of nowhere.
This version of Lex doesn't align with anything.
Yeah,
because
it's weird.
Prior to this, Luthor was like the mad scientist.
Yeah.
And then
right.
And then when I started reading comics was when he had like Luthor Corp, and
so he's like already loaded, right? Yeah,
yeah,
right.
And he wasn't doing anything like himself. He was like, hiring everything out.
Right.
He was the mastermind behind everything.
Yeah.
Which again, I'm going to keep going back to Lois and Clark because that was
damn good show.
It came out in our formative years,
right?
And John Shee did an excellent job. He'll always be my favorite Lex Luthor.
Nice.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah,
he enjoyed getting away with whatever crime it was.
So, Gibbs, what's your take on this? I mean, you read the comics and stuff.
Don't get me wrong. I think Gene Hackman's a fantastic.
Yeah, I think we all universally we all love him.
He's a great actor.
Mm-hmm.
I have issues with the fact that he at first didn't want to shave off his mustache, which what the fuck? But I also have a huge issue with him. Yeah, he had a mustache, and they had to talk him into shaving it for this fucking movie.
I thought he didn't want to shave his head.
He didn't, and that was my second thing. I don't have. I have a problem with they could have just found somebody else that was willing to shave their head. Yeah. Like, come the fuck on, Lex Luthor's.
But bald. I believe also,
give it to me.
Anybody that's in this role, the way it's written is.
And this is they really do act like Boris and Natasha in this.
Cool. Hey, say moose and squirrel.
Moose and squirrel.
Yep. That's how I thought she'd say it.
It's bumbling criminals, second rate. Yeah. Like that, it does a disservice to the character. Like, he's not scary, he's not intimidating. You're not. At no point do I actually find him threatening.
Right.
I just it's not my favorite depiction. Now, when I was a kid, I didn't know any better, so I loved it. I thought it was great. But whenever I started reading the comics and got into the comics, I was just like, "What the fuck did they do?" I
think I may have used this metaphor on a previous episode, but my my mother-in-law makes this great dessert. I love it. But she calls it peach cobbler, and it tastes nothing like peach cobbler. It's
still a good dessert.
It's a great dessert.
You just can't call it peach cobbler.
Yeah. So
it's Gene Hackman. Analogy, man.
So Gene Hackman does a great job at this villain, but it's not Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's real cartoony. Like, again, we already made the bumbling duh boss, and then the Boris Natasha was a perfect comparison.
Yeah, it really does detract from the realism. Everything else set up this realism.
Like, and Shadwick said it like right. Him actually participating in like the heists and stuff is weird. Really fucking stupid. Like if you're some sort of mastermind, why can't you get somebody else to fucking do it
that
for you?
Said, Christopher Reeve still saves it. So as far as the movie goes, still an amazing, still fun
the
movie.
Whole movie
Yeah,
as a movie, it's good. It works. It's fine. I don't care. It's just if you're gonna call him Lex Luthor, maybe make him a little bit more like Lex Luthor,
like a threat. Yeah,
I think a lot of times, like he does serve as like him and the scenes with Miss Tessmacher and Otis serve as comedy relief, right?
No, they do.
Which is weird.
Thankfully, the comic book writers and artists didn't follow that depiction like they did with Christopher Reeve's Superman and Clark. Yeah. Because after this movie, they kind of changed, and they even changed the Clark Kent character. Clark wasn't so like such a bumbling klutz before.
Right. See, that's the thing. That's one thing that I hate about comic book adaptations and movies is the comic books themselves start to change to be like the movies instead of vice versa. And I think that sucks.
Well, they did that with the Fortress of Solitude also.
Yeah.
They changed the design of that after it was successful in the movie.
Yeah. I think that could be a mistake.
It is a business, unfortunately.
The original Fortress of Solitude was an outhouse behind Pa Kent's ranch.
But we do make Lex and his plan, like he does sort of outline it vaguely. He talks about it being like his master plan being sort of like a real estate plan, and that's really sort of all he says is like a real estate like scheme of some sort, and we don't really understand much about that. But that's when we come to, of course, the next scene where Superman becomes
the first Superman sighting. Yeah. So what's also, by the way, what kind of level of reporter are you that you're getting a fucking escort in a goddamn chopper, baby?
Well, that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, this is one of the scenes where I was saying that like Lois is a go-getter, because even Clark calls her out. He's trying to ask her on a date, right? Like, so we hadn't talked about this. Superman, aka Clark Kent, is obviously infatuated immediately with Lois Lane. He's trying to like date her. He's trying to get her to come on a date with him, and he asked her. He was like, Lois finds out that the president is, and it's at the end of the day, and he's leaving. Clark's leaving. He's like, so, hey, what are you doing tonight? And Lois is like, I found out Air Force One's landing in Metropolis Airport, and I'm going to go get, like, he was like, don't you ever rest and relax? She's like, no. She's like, I've seen what happens when you relax. You become basically my sister with cats and 3 kids and a family, and I would be choked to death. Dude, Lois Lane is like the modern woman before the modern woman was the modern woman.
Side note here, boy, Superman
gives you shut your mouth.
Superman, he's playing both sides. So he gets to be the sensitive friend to her, and then he gets to be the swooning badass that gets all the action. So he even knows when she's lying to him now because he's playing both sides. This is guys out there, if you can pull this off, if you can figure out how to fly.
Don't do this, man.
If you can,
I hear if you get a running start.
If you can learn how to act like you care.
Yeah. Shadwick says mimic these human emotions, and then but seriously though, until I watched it this time, I was just like, I didn't really understand that. But so he's getting to know her as Clark Kent, like with the strip down where he's not a threat, and she's gonna tell him he's her little friend. He's gonna tell her everything, and then the swooning like, oh, look at this like hubba guy.
I never noticed this until last night either. When Clark, he's waiting for the elevator, he's doing all of these like crazy Clark, all these little nervous like ticks. The whole time, he's He's trying to go in the elevator and somebody won't let him in. So, he nervous goes to the next one. He goes, going down. And the guy's going up. And then he just kind of looks around again.
He lets people bully him. Like he's different from the same guy that wanted to rip that dude's head off that cock blocked him when he was a kid, right? Like he's not that same guy. He's letting people sort of like take advantage.
He knows now. He knows it's like if he wanted to, he could crush. But I do love. So we get into this scene. The helicopter get caught, and then it starts to crash and. It crashes on the roof, and then all these people are, as we do as humans, we're like, oh, and point up, and because we want to see destruction.
We want to see someone die.
This got me out loud. So he's like, Clark sees what's going on, and then he goes and runs to what is now a new phone booth that is just outside, and then he stops because the old trope of him changing in the phone booth or whatever.
Phone booth, I don't know anybody. Younger than us watching this movie, they may not even get that joke.
Yeah, I didn't get it as a kid.
I mean, if you go back to the old Fleischer cartoons, he would go into the full phone booth with the frosted glass, and you could see the shadow of him like changing clothes and everything.
Dude, I hadn't seen one of those phone booths since Dumb and Dumber when like that dude smashed that one dude's face.
Yes, man.
I absolutely hate the way he does change to the costume. The worst one is when he jumps out of the window later and
that's
it's like his clothes just like magically.
In the script, he was supposed to just jump into the air and then suck inside of his own butthole and then pop out as Superman.
It was like those little toys, Popples.
Yeah, Popples. Yes, Popples. Exactly.
Like Popsicles.
In fact, like after the script was rejected, Mario Puzo went and invented Popples.
He's like, it's a butthole that turns inside out, you see? And we'll sell it to kids.
See? Pop goes the Pablo.
But though, before he changed, though, there is an iconic scene right before he goes into the revolving door where he pulls his shirt open and you get to see and like it blurs as he runs. Dude, like that scene.
That one got me
iconic.
amped again. Like when I saw
that was the second time I had an erection.
Yeah.
So cool.
And they're doing I think this song is called the March, right? The March theme or something like that. So it's kind of doing this like little drum.
It's slowly building up, like it's teasing you whenever he's trying to fucking find someplace to change.
Teasing you for that Superman theme.
The build-up is so fucking beautiful. Yeah.
That's where the movie, or that's where the theme should have been introduced to us.
Yeah, I agree with you. That would have been really powerful. However, like I'm not going to complain about hearing that song because I love hearing that song.
Yeah.
Originally, they had Jerry Goldsmith was going to do the score for this movie, who had done Dick Donner's previous one of his earlier movies, The Omen, which I love.
Okay.
And the score for that's great, but he had to drop out, and he was just like, I guess I'll settle for fucking John Williams, the guy that just won an Academy Award for fucking Jaws.
Am I right?
How many times are we going to go through these old movies and then be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. John Williams.
50 times. He did every goddamn theme you ever can remember.
Yeah, Star Wars was what, 77?
77. Then you had Superman. He had Jaws in 75. The Raiders of the Lost Ark in 81. Like it's just
you guys you notice a similarity between Star Wars and Superman though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, it's very similar.
Yeah.
It's just Superman. He said that everything in that main theme is building you up to make you feel like you're flying.
Yeah.
That's crazy that like his brain works that way, and he's right.
That's
brilliant. It's great. But so anyway, Superman
he does fly.
Of course, is going to save the fucking day because the helicopter falls. Lois falls out. He rescues her. Then he sees the helicopter falling with the perceivably dead pilot that no one ever addresses later on.
And then he hyperextends the fuck out of his elbow.
Yeah, that was when he caught the thing and like goes up. Ugh. But anyway,
I can do it.
Just seeing him in the fucking suit, though. Seeing him in the suit flying up like was just badass, dude.
There's one little line here that I absolutely love, and I don't know who the actress is, but it's the female reporter that's on the ground. And when he catches her, she goes, I can't believe it. he got her. I can't believe it.
Yes.
Someone next door is like, I ate those meals.
This is really Metropolis that would have happened. But he does save Lois from the malfunctioning helicopter, and of course the pilots and everyone. He saves the day and he flies off, and then we get a montage, the only one in the film, of Superman just being Superman, dude. He's arresting criminals.
Yeah. It's so good. He stops the jewel thief, and he just drops him off.
Yeah,
I do like there's a fun back and forth here. There's the yacht robbers and all that kind of shit goes on. Yes. And the one of the cops is talking to the other ones, and he's like, "You just flew through the sky or whatever. It was him or whatever." And he's
like a big blue bird.
Yeah, like
big blue bird.
Like a big. You want with a bird? Go get the bird.
It looked like a turtle in a trench coat.
And so then he's just like, yeah, he's like, did you already start at the bar? He's like, I tell you what, go to the bar. He's like, and then I'll meet you there, some shit like that. And then like Superman drops out or whatever, and he's like,
Mooney, fresh bottles on me.
I think maybe this movie is like what made me more interested in like dialogue than action, because even as a kid, I enjoy the parts more like where he's talking with Lois. Like on the rooftop after he saves her.
Yes.
Like I don't know, dude. He's like so commanding, and
his portrayal is
panty dropper.
Amazing. He's got such great screen presence.
Yeah.
I mean, and he really does play the two parts so differently that like a stupid child would probably think it's two different actors. Stupid child.
I know. I don't know why. Like Chadwick's favorite Superman is Henry Cavill. It's really weird that he likes Henry Cavill over this. It's weird.
It's weird.
I'm gonna break your kneecap.
It won't matter.
That's so funny. But you do get this one fucking line that this one probably got me more than anything in this goddamn movie.
I know what you're talking about.
The little girl, her cat's stuck in a fucking tree, and then the mom he goes and gets the cat down. I forgot what it's like, Sprinkles or Frisky or some stupid shit. But he hands the cat to her, and she's just like,
Frisky was stuck in the tree. This man swooped out of the sky and gave him to me. Haven't I told you to stop telling lies?
smack.
You're getting domestically abused.
But you know what? That little girl might lie all the time.
She probably does. She probably deserved it. You're right, Shadow. That's what I was saying.
I mean, she is a little girl.
Yeah.
I mean,
so after he saves the crashing plane, is that the president's plane or some shit?
So again, it harkens back, like it's logically consistent. The reason that Lois was getting on the helicopter before it malfunctioned and crashed, and he had to save them, was because the president was coming in on Air Force One, and so he saves Superman. You have a montage of him saving random people, getting a girl domestically abused for lying, and then immediately after that,
Super Hearing missed that one.
Where are you on that one, Superman? He was like, she had it coming.
Maybe he gave another Chadwick smile after that.
Yeah, a little smirk.
The engine in the president's plane explodes, and the plane is crashing.
What the hell was that?
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, you have this whole scene where Superman basically becomes one of the engines, and he's holding the plane up.
Just fly.
Yeah, you assume they're able to land successfully, and it just goes to this is where Superman is the only time you see him being Superman, really, right? Mm-hmm. The other stuff is drama, it's interpersonal.
It's the only time you see his hair moving with the wind too. Weird.
Yeah, that little curl.
Yeah, I dig it, man.
Everything about Christopher Reeve. But now you go to
nobody else has gotten that right.
Nope.
No.
And then you go to the next day to where it's the media frenzy, because of course, and this is what's kind of funny too, is there's video of it. And I know back then probably people would be like, well, how did they get video of it? I had to take myself and remind myself that this was 1978, being like, yeah, I'm like, no, of course everybody had their phone. They were just videotaping it. Of course, you're like, no, wait, no, they didn't. Somebody must have had a camera set on that to film that. And that's why he's freaking out, is he wants pictures. He wants he wants the big scoop.
The editor, is yelling at his people. He's like, dude, I want more of this. The people are going crazy. The public obviously realizes
pictures of Spider-Man. God damn it!
I think it's funny that he's like going around to like each person in the room and then asking like a different question. Yeah. He gets to Clark and he's like, like, what's his favorite baseball team? And he turns away, and it looks like Clark's about to answer him. Like,
yeah,
yep.
Yeah, he is, because he asked him a question before then. He's just like, he asked him basically something to the effect of just like, what is he about? What does he want? And like Clark's like, well, I don't think he wants to like give interviews. And it's just like you as an insider from the viewer get to really enjoy the
wink and the nod. Yeah,
he is Superman. Obviously, like, he has the authority to answer the question. Obviously, the editor doesn't know. The whole world is hungry for more Superman facts and logic. And Lois Lane gets a little note during this little meeting, right? Like the editor's yelling at everybody, but she gets a note that says, what is it? Something to the effect of what he told her when he met her after he rescued her.
I need a friend from a friend, because he said that he was a friend when he rescued her. And so like it's going to meet at 8 at, I guess, her place. But what's great about this is, again, watching this with adult eyes going back, what a fucking master plan by Superman and Clark Kent in this one. Like, you have the guise of, well, I guess Superman didn't really send me that note, or did Superman send me that note? Like it's exactly fucking, I don't know, as far as like dating goes, like, I guess, I mean, dudes from Krypton, they just, their game's on a different level. Like,
yeah, she lists that one note, says, your place at 8, a friend. She lists that with her left hand, and then with the right hand, she lists one that says, change your panties, they're soaked.
Oh, that's true.
Dude, her place is dope as fuck too, by the way.
Right? Yeah, Lois is getting paid clearly more than everybody else.
Yeah,
what the hell? She's got like a skyline apartment.
I know real estate's not like booming in Detroit, but like she has got a nice place. But it looks fucking good, man.
So later on that night, she's dressed up, dude, to the nines, man.
Yeah, what is she wearing? Is this a dress? Is this a nightgown?
Dude,
I think it says it's for all occasions. So whatever you want it to be.
Easy access. No,
she smokes, she pokes.
That's just science.
But
she's down
they wanted,
man.
The actual reason they put her in this though was because it was so flowy, and they were going to
for the flying scene. Yeah. And so the way he arrives up there, like where he just like floats down, and like all of this, again, this is well before CGI. This was, practical effects. And I know they use the blue screen for the flying stuff, but it still looks pretty good for what it is.
Oh, you can tell the stuff where he's on wires looks incredible.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree.
But yeah, this is by far my favorite scene in the movie.
To the dialogue, right?
Seriously?
Yeah.
But so Superman, he like, she's waiting for him to show up, like a la their date that's supposed to be there. He's late, and she see her, like, she's already got the nines out. She's got alcohol. Like she is DTF, man. She's ready to go.
A bowl full of condoms.
The only way he could bang regular chicks is with a kryptonite condom. That would kill him.
Well, I guarantee you he'd blow a load like a shotgun through her back. Thank you, Kevin Smith.
Thank you. He floats down, and of course, she's immediately like smitten with him. And they have this. They have the interview, right? He sits down, and she's a reporter, but throughout is sort of sprinkled like her infatuation for her, and obviously Superman's doing an insanely.
She
good
does
job
a great job
back.
Here too, like the befuddlement, the stuttering, and then snapping out of it, then snapping back into being just smitten. Like,
and
good job with her.
She is nasty, and she is fighting it hard, and I feel that, man.
She was like, "Oh, you're so nasty."
It made me think of the Adam Sandler movie, Just Go With It, where at the very first where his wife or his fiance, I guess, they're about to get married. She's talking with her friends about some guy that she just fucked, and they're like,
Oh, you're so horny.
Yeah, dude.
And she tests him, like, she asked him like if he can see her underwear, what color her underwear is, and so he uses his powers and fries her ovaries for consequence-free sex.
He also fries her lungs when he tests to see if she has, as she lights up a Marlboro cigarette.
She's like, am I gonna have cancer or something? And he's like, not for another 2 years, bitch.
Yeah, he's like, not yet. And she's like, smooth and satisfying.
I don't know if you can tell, but in her drink, she had 3 cigarettes put out in her drink, and she was still drinking from it.
That would have been on character, dude.
For that smoky flavor.
I bet she tried to cover it up with Bath and Body Works.
No, you just get that funk of ash and bikes and
pink, by the way.
honeysuckle.
Yeah, but you do get the fun, like you.
I like
now
pink
you
very
get
much,
the,
Lois.
Yeah, he asked her. That's Chadwick's line that's stuck in my head now. Is the one where ask what underwear it is. She's behind some lead shit.
Well,
and,
I mean, their whole conversation is double entendre. Like, when she's asking him about himself, she goes, "How big are you?" He's like, "Excuse me? How tall are you?"
And she's like, I mean, I know earlier we saw you when you were a kid, and we saw how big you were, but like
not much has changed.
Can we expand?
How do we extrapolate that?
It's like, sorry, not sorry.
They did this. We're just commenting on what was there.
That's
like
what
we didn't.
I mean, she even does the whole like you have regular bodily functions. Do you eat?
Yeah.
She's like trying to like back out of what she's trying to ask him.
And he's like a shotgun through your back.
He flies away.
He's like one of us is going to be eating tonight, but it won't be me.
Yeah.
But then
you get the flying scene, which this is iconic and has been shown.
It sucks so fucking bad.
Thank you.
Oh my god, the voiceover is
the fucking poem.
Ridiculous.
Come on, guys.
Holy shit.
I agree. There's some really cheesy parts. It kind of drags on. But my question is this: like, how is she able to fly just by like touching him? Because like gravity suddenly doesn't exist.
Pixie dust, motherfucker.
He was a glider. He was a glider.
There is a lot of talk about Peter Pan.
Yeah,
like between them two,
and I think that's kind of they do the Peter Pan, the hand in hand thing.
There's,
like
there's a deleted scene where they in the bedroom they're doing some like role playing as Peter Pan and Wendy,
and she's like, "I'm gonna be a lost boy."
He said you were gonna call me Superman, and Superman was like, "You knew what this was."
You knew what this was.
He keeps trying to put it in her Phantom Zone.
See, these are the reasons that we live in the Phantom Zone on YouTube. You do get back, Leaf. You have a kind of a comment here where he cock blocks himself, but I feel like he's just playing checkers with himself at this point, right? So
he is. So we come to find out that like after his little flying date, Superman has a flying date with Lois. She has a date with Clark Kent. She already agreed to go on a date with a nerdy ass Clark Kent. We get this really hilarious, but also really important like scene, right? Like
I do like the line which have you been drinking?
Yeah. And she is just literally absolutely gobsmacked with Superman.
She is glowing.
Yeah, with love for Superman and doesn't even recognize
he fucking knows. And he knows.
He's like, what? He's like, what, Lorraine?
Yeah.
He grabs Superman. He's like, get your damn hands off her.
Get your damn hands off her. So Chadwick knows
this density.
Chadwick knows this is like probably one of my favorite scenes in this movie is when he does the Clark Kent to Superman back to Clark Kent like on screen, and it really illustrates how much he changes.
That's my favorite one shot of the film.
Yeah. And he's struggling, right? Let me set it up for you guys. He's struggling. Like Lois has already been on a flying date with Superman. Clark Kent shows up for his actual date. Obviously, we know it's the same person. And he is literally trying to decide if he's going to let her know the truth or not, right?
Right.
He's warring within himself, and you could see it. And so, yeah, y'all go ahead. What happens?
Well, I think that he has fallen in love with her just as much as she has with him. So that's the reason he's like, should I just go ahead and tell her?
He's hunched over, and then he just takes the glasses. He straightens up his voice. The bass drops on his voice, and then all of a sudden he's like, Lois, there's something I have to tell you. And then she comes out, and then he just fucking, hunches back over. Voice goes up a little bit, glasses back on, and they go out to dinner or whatever the hell it is. And I just love that fucking scene. Like just the way it just shows you what a great actor he was.
It was more impressive to me when he went back to Clark.
Yes. Yeah. But it just shows you, like, again, like this is in front of your eyes watching this man transform. It's great.
Apparently, like what they did was they had a projection of him like taking off and then went around. So like, but even watching it now, it still just absolutely fucking looks fantastic. I think it's such a great transition, and I love the performances. I love her performance in this. Whenever she's like mixing up words and all sorts of shit.
That's quite nice. Did they put makeup on Clark or use like harsher lighting or something? I always thought that his skin looked more pale when he was Clark than when he was Superman.
It may have been the makeup because, I mean, you would just have to do his face and neck for Superman, basically, right? Like, so, I mean, I guess the same with Clark, but
I don't think you would notice if it weren't in HD.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know.
I mean, that's true. But now after this amazing scene, which I don't know, again, go watch this scene. Fuck it. You've probably seen the clip 1,000 times. Doesn't matter. Go watch it again. Lex Luthor has a scheme because he just hates Superman getting any kind of publicity and press.
Well, he realizes that, like, with his master plan, right? Like his real estate plan, which you'd have no idea what it is, that Superman's going to interfere with it. He knows Superman. Suddenly, on the scene appears the one person that could stop his plan, right?
But I feel like it's jealousy more than anything. Like Superman is also in the newspapers and shit, and it's confusing.
He kind of acts like it because the whole time, like in every
like
scene,
that should be me. That you know, like
even when he's like acting with Miss Tessmacher, he's literally like wants her to constantly praise him and wants his minions to just be like, I'm so smart. So there's sort of like a level of jealousy and anger and hatred towards like his ability in whatever the case may be with his ego. Cause like, yes, that's one thing that Gene Hackman does very, very well. Like he is a, egomaniac. Like,
I mean, again, Hackman did great with what he had to deal with here. Great actor. Again, no shade thrown to Gene Hackman. It just, I think maybe just Hollywood maybe hadn't figured this whole thing out yet.
I think it's more of a scripting issue than
that's what I mean.
They didn't know what they wanted to do with Lex Luthor, but regardless, he does find out thanks to Lois Lane's interview all of Superman's weaknesses.
In the interview, it just had a list of his fears and and his bus schedule.
And Lex is like, I'm a genius. I can destroy Superman, but he does figure out that somehow that kryptonite is his weakness, and he knows that he can't see through lead.
That was another thing I kind of took issue with. Like, how does he deduce that a remnant of his homeworld would be poison to him?
He says he evidently has done research on it, and he says something to the effect that it's like radioactive, but not to us. But he just sort of like assumes or extrapolates that it would be deadly to him, which is weird because he's from that planet.
Stan, okay.
What?
All right, Stan, okay.
Now he's got this real estate scheme that involves hijacking missiles and God knows. And then you get your Boris and Natasha, Rocky Bullwinkle is always Moose and Squirrel.
This is the goofiest section of the movie, man.
Goofy. It really is, man.
Do they ever say why the missiles were being fired to begin with?
For fun,
bro. They're test missiles. We used to test
the U.S. never needs an excuse to shoot a missile, man.
We were testing missiles in case we had to launch them against the fucking Kremlin, Shadwick. They're looming over us at all times.
They test them like with full payloads and
the desert. That's
how
why
else are you supposed to fucking do it?
That's why we have Skinwalker
Watch Oppenheimer,
Ranch.
motherfucker.
That's not a joke. They actually did do that.
No, I mean there's a bunch of deserts out there that are like still contaminated. I mean, Skinwalker Ranch. You take like Indian burial grounds, nuke weapons, and you have Skinwalker Ranch. I'm just telling you,
dude. And so did Russia. This was like we were like well within the Cold War at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
we used to test nuclear weapons all the time.
Fucking goofy, but here we are, right? So
it was wintertime.
You get this whole fucking duh boss, but I do like this scene where it's like the fake car, Luthor's got the remote control car, and then Miss Tessmacher's out there, and you get her. The army guy, they never revisit this. The army guy says that she
molested, dude.
by JR.
She needs a chest massage.
She's having trouble breathing, sir. What do you think? Well, I suggest vigorous chest massage.
And then he tells them to about face so they can't see what he's doing.
I don't see the issue, guys.
Nobody could. All the soldiers are in front of it.
Are we surprised that an American official?
No, but I just think it's funny that this Tessmacher, no one revisits this. No one is just she doesn't have a quip when she gets back in the car or whatever or anything. It's just that's
actually at that moment Superman was flying by, but he was like, that's the American way that I'm fighting for.
He's like, truth and justice.
Larry Hagman's just giving her the old Don Draper. I'll see if she's alive or not.
Yeah. So, but during this, Mimsy, Otis. Mimsy programs the wrong coordinates because he wrote it on his arm, boys, and he forgot.
I ran out of room, boys.
Yeah, I ran out of room, boys.
And you have this goofy
Coach,
scene,
I'm not so
dude.
good with numbers, dude.
Yeah. You have this goofy boss hog scene where
and he's like, Tarnation, Mimsy. And then Luthor runs off,
them dukes.
But so now they got to find another way to get back. And of course, I do think it's funny that Luthor sends Miss Tessmacher again to go sneak in to reprogram these missiles. But anyway, again, goofy as shit
with her Lonnie Anderson wig on.
Yeah, dude.
Yes,
you ass.
Yes, he has control of a couple of nukes. Finally,
So he's gonna hit the San Andreas fault, and then that's gonna be the shit. How many movies is this? What was that movie with The Rock? What was it? San Andreas.
Yes.
Jumanji, Back to the Jungle.
Yeah. So his master plan is indeed to.
The Rock was in San Andreas. I thought it was just Alexandria.
That's Daddario.
Yeah. So Luthor's master plan is to hit the San Andreas fault with a bomb and basically sinking California into. Not a bad plan. I'm not going to say hindsight's 2020, my friend. Sink California into the ocean and all of the
you can find
Nevada.
a way to you can find a way to package Detroit into it, and you got me signed off. Let's go.
But he's purchased all this land, including Native American land.
So that'll now be beachside property. So you kind of get your real estate mogul plan. That's kind of all right, whatever.
Yeah,
you should go back to your pool. Can we go revisit that again? Because that's badass.
We're just about to. Yeah, exactly. Because his one hitch in the plan is Superman. He's got to lure him into his lair and get rid of Superman before he can do this. Because he knows Superman has the ability and the power to stop the missiles once they're launched.
Well,
so he's got to get them out of the way.
He's got a kryptonite condom and Miss Tessmacher. So
and she doesn't smoke.
Yeah, so you go.
Miss Tessmacher, that white shirt in the pool.
Oh, dude!
Talk about Man of Steel.
Let's just talk about that for the rest of the day.
Yeah, the rest of the podcast is just us talking about Miss Tessmacher in a white shirt.
Right. So Lex Luthor lures
Tessmacher just don't know.
Yeah, starting to doubt your heterosexual street cred. You okay, babe?
Lex Luthor lures Superman into his lair and basically reveals his master plan. Right?
This is something I noticed last night.
Yeah,
I was watching it on HBO Max, and you would think with Max, on all the DC properties, they would have the full version on there. The version that I remember from TV is there's this gauntlet of traps that Luthor had, traps or tests, machine gun. Yeah,
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that either.
So when he spins through the
he does
Superman's
invading the lair.
Yeah, he does the top spin through the street, and then he's walking through the subway. Machine guns pop up and shoot him from both sides.
Really?
He walks past that, and then flamethrowers pop out and roast him, and then something comes out and like freezes him into like a block of ice, and then Lex kind of looks satisfied, and then the ice starts popping and cracking, and he walks through. And what was so cool about it was he didn't act like he was mad. He was just like walking through there,
stoic, like it's just the same thing.
Yeah, and then you get to where he's at the door, and I was just like, I think he's here, Mr. Luthor.
The door's the steel door.
I do like the Hackman line when he busts the door open. He's like, "My lawyers will be in touch with you
for the damages."
Yeah,
I'm like, respect, bro. He's a real estate mogul. He abides by legal laws.
He knows the value of his property, man.
I'll sue you, Mr. Lawler from Memphis, Tennessee. He does kind of. This is kind of clever. The lead where he's hiding something in the lead. Superman's looking for whatever he's looking for.
Yeah,
and then
he's looking for the detonator for the missiles because they're on their way, according to Lex. And Superman doesn't believe it. He's just like, whatever. And then Lex is like, well, they're on their way. Miss Testmarker comes out and she's like, the missiles are on their way. And Lex is just like, well, I have the detonator. I could stop it. And Superman's like, where's the detonator? And yeah,
he's like, you have to find it. And then he sees the lead. And so he's like, oh, you're hiding it in the lead because I can't see through lead, which I thought was pretty clever. That's how you get him to the kryptonite.
Got it. And Lex is like, don't open that.
Yep.
And he does. And you
told you.
And again, just to compliment Reeve and his acting, he changes completely. He's got that like horrified, terrified look on his face.
Sucked out of him. Energy's gone.
And in the box,
and confused because he doesn't know what's going on.
Right. In the box, for those of you who don't know, is a kryptonite necklace, like on a chain. This big stone of kryptonite,
like a dog chain off of a pit bull.
Like the junkyard dog.
Junkyard. I was about to say.
Yeah. And Lex Luthor puts it around his neck, and it's just basically like, all right, you're out of the way. And he shoves him, and he falls into that glorious like pool that we all just want to like. All four of us want to take a dip in together.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
Together or not, I'm in.
He told. And he's told Superman at this point that there were two missiles going in opposite directions.
Yeah.
And
you couldn't stop them both.
So as he's in the pool, just chilling, just kicking it, he's like, you don't even care where the missile's going. And Lex is like, I know exactly where it's going. Hackensack, New Jersey.
Why?
And then because it's going in opposite directions.
Right.
So
but also.
Yeah. But then yeah.
I think he just wants to kill Miss Testmarker's mom,
dude. I think why would you not want to blow up Hackensack, New Jersey?
Lex, my mother lives in Hackensack.
and that's
the best Luthor moment of the entire.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
Again, back to the acting. When he's in the pool and he's like gasping for breath and like everything, like there's this, you're in peril watching this. Like, even watching it now with today's eyes, I'm like, God, like he just.
Yeah,
Christopher Reeve, man.
Well, yeah, like he was taking in water and everything.
Yeah.
While he was talking to Miss Testmarker.
Like Superman's drowning at this point in time. He's got the kryptonite necklace around him, and he's the only like. Suddenly, Miss Testmarker sort of like peeps out from around the stone, and he's just like, "Help me!" And she's like, I can't because Lex and et cetera, et cetera. He's just like
just buried in paperwork.
She knows that, like, she knows that Superman is like the ultimate good. She's heard the rumors he doesn't lie, can't lie, right? Like, she's like, I need you to save my mother first. And Superman's like being almost selfish here, being like, but Lois, like Jimmy are out where the other missile is like headed, right? They've been sent out like on a remote assignment. And she's just like, no, you have to promise to save my mother in Hackensack, New Jersey first. And he's like, okay, I promise I'll do it. And she dives into the water.
Oh,
and
Thank
God.
It's so
molests
weird
him, basically.
It's so weird that a woman would want her needs taken care of ahead of everyone else.
Beacon, let's rewind. 95% male demo.
Right?
96.
Yep, 96.
She kisses him and then takes off the necklace. It's just like, why did you kiss me like first? And she's just like, because I didn't think you'd let me afterwards.
And he's like, well, I've got infinite amount of time. So he's like, you know why they call me faster than a speeding bullet?
Right.
And then it just rips her in half.
No. And so he stops the missile, like he averts the missile into outer space. Actually, that was the one that's going to crash into Hackensack, New Jersey, which is a really cool scene. And then from outer space, he looks down and he could see the second missile actually explode.
Yeah.
Well, they were originally filming Superman 1 and 2 simultaneously, and the rocket that he sent into space was supposed to hit the Phantom Zone, and the nuclear explosion was going to release them.
Okay.
Oh, I had no idea. Interesting. Well, yeah, so that one sort of like rockets off in the middle of nowhere. He turns around, he sees the Earth, and then he's seeing the San Andreas Fault, like the United States from outer space, and he sees like the explosion. And he flies back down, and we sort of get this montage of him sort of like he's too late to stop the explosion, but he starts to like repair the damage. He dives down in the San Andreas Fault with the molten lava, and he's like,
that part's cool.
That's cool as shit. And they get the Golden Gate Bridge, which like it reminded me of the 89 World Series, Gibbs. Like, you know, when you had the massive earthquake where the bridge actually collapsed, which wouldn't be, you know, I guess when they filmed this probably 11, 12 years later. But like it's cool seeing these landmarks that you know, he saves the kids on the bus on the Golden Gate Bridge, and you know, saves the town from the flooding. He saves Jimmy because he's always getting himself into a pickle, derp. And but sadly, there's one person he can't save, and that's Lois.
And this is what I'm saying, man.
I guess he'll move on after that 1 day's worth of knowing a person. Like,
one date with her, bro. Let her be. This is what I'm saying. This, like, as much as y'all didn't like it, this would have suited the film if they had let Lois die and be dead. Like, I know that's not possible. Like, obviously,
it is possible.
Like,
I'll put it together right now. I'll just put the credits after he's holding her and fade to black. It's really easy. I can do this.
You know what? I said I wasn't going to drink and fly, but he going to do one.
Nice.
And
yes.
Just because, you know, pour one out for our dead homie, and also
Lois.
I think Henry Cavill and Brandon Routh both drank a Budweiser in their Superman movies.
Oh, there you go, man.
Shout out.
Branding.
This is the moment where I feel like, you know, they could have left Lois dead, and it would have synergized the death of Jonathan Kent, right? You can't save everyone. Superman saved Hackensack, New Jersey, and the millions of people that would have been killed from that. He saved Jimmy Olsen. I know. I'm just saying, like, he saved Jimmy Olsen. He saved all these people.
Yeah, but he put Jimmy out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, snakes and shit.
Jimmy's so stupid he's going to thirst and starve to death. That's beside the point. That's on him.
It's like Michael Scott in Survivor Man.
I think that I want to get a little more comfortable because the sun is depleting my resources.
Yeah, this is the moment for Superman to remind himself and learn that ultimate lesson. It's like, okay, you did the most good you could, and yet you're not able to do everything.
It turns out you're not God. So
you're not God, right?
It's it's not like you can fucking reverse time.
I think a lot of people have issues with the aftermath and what happens.
It
gets brought up a lot.
The reversing time kind of. It does seem like you almost wrote yourself into a corner, like with this, where it's like really good. She's dead, and
you know, they could have had her like crash into a ravine or something like that, you know, and he come rip her out and you know, try to give her CPR, but accidentally crush her fucking sternum,
blow her lungs out
of his chest.
So I know that the way they show him like flying around the Earth, and it changes the rotation of the Earth. So I know it's supposed to have changed time,
reversed
on the Earth. I thought it would have been a little more acceptable if he just flew so fast that he went back in time and arrived, before the earthquake.
I mean, it's funny.
I would have been okay if he had like started spinning the Earth in the other direction, and as it came to a stop, everybody flew off because like there's no more gravity.
There's one guy from Australia. He's like, "Good day."
Yeah. But despite like Jor-El's
Mongolian,
you get two things here that I think it's important to mention that a lot of people forget because they get focused on him reversing time. You get one of the possibly, to me, the best acting jobs of Christopher Reeve. You see his rage, his upset. Like, dude, it is actually like sort of gut wrenching to see him.
One of the best primal screams in all of cinema,
dude. 100%.
It's so you feel it, man. Like you actually feel like his rage and anger, and then he flies into the sky, like determined to reverse time.
He's angry. Like I mean, you don't know what he's doing. You just think he's just like fucking grieving and lost his mind.
You have
like,
no idea what's going to happen at this point in time. And Jor-El shows up like his father's just like, you can't interfere in human history. You can't interfere in time. And then that wars with his own father's, his earthly father's like words that you have to do what you can do to try to help humanity. And he has this in that scene. It's very, very subtle, but like you have him warring against the two sides of himself, his Kryptonian side telling him not to interfere with humanity, and his human side, which he grew up here. He loves these people. Like it's a beautiful scene in that, ignoring the reversing time, which a lot of, weird autistic people get like obsessed with. It's less important.
I think what he said was Jonathan was my father because my biological didn't bother.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yes.
Yes. Next scene.
Thank you, Shaq.
Thank you, Shaquille O'Neal. Oh, joke was only for Gibbs. So stupid. But I mean, you're right though. Like
that's what I think.
Yeah. So I mean, but he does. We have the controversial reverse time, and
he reverses.
It really does seem like you really wrap this movie up in like 3 seconds. Like
it's
you're like
done after this.
Time
it's
reverse.
Bing, bang, boom.
She's saved. Also, and it's kind of funny that she's bitching so much after she is saved because she doesn't know she died.
But that's the thing. I love that scene too because Lois has been such a bitch like this entire time, but you don't realize like, and I mean, I'm sorry, but this is a real scene. There's a lot of people that we may not get along with, and when they're gone, you don't realize how much you appreciate them. And as she's complaining, you see Superman's gritting ear to ear because he's like, I missed you.
Yeah. Right.
He's like,
this is a plot hole though. Like what? She shouldn't be remembering all the shit that happened from the earthquake.
The world went back. The memories did not. Dude, this is science.
I don't know.
There was some shakes and stuff before that. That's probably
the deal is this. The deal is this: is we there's a flying alien. That's the main plot point of this movie.
Science,
but that's real.
Neil deGrasse Tyson said that this is the most scientifically accurate movie ever produced by Hollywood.
He did, as a direct quote. Thank you, Gibbs.
Yes,
thank you, Gibbs, for that, dude.
Well, and he does, and I thought that this was pretty abrupt, where it just like Lex Luthor just dropped off in prison, and the warden comes out basically in his nightcap and his jammies, and he's like, "Oh, Superman, what'd you bring me?" And he's like Lex Luthor and some hot bitch, and he's like, "Whoa!" And then he doesn't bring the bitch. He doesn't bring the bitch.
Richard Donner and the producers of this movie were like arguing about like, what do we cut? And he's like, well, we can either make a really nice long climax that just really carries the film, or we can make the first 48 minutes of the movie slow as absolute fuck. Now, which do you want, Dick? And Dick's like, I want the slow beginning.
Give me the credits.
Give me the credits,
in the 3 minutes of action at the very end of the fucking film.
They were like, give Chris Lowry and Leaf that fucking 40 minutes and we'll turn it into 3. If you don't believe us, watch our Batman episode.
There was a completely different resolution to this film, but like he's wasted his entire budget on the first part of the movie, and he was like, well, how do we fix this? And he's like, the rewind button, that dumbass.
And that brings us back to be kind, let's rewind. So again, the movie ends, but you get one more Chadwick smile. And I say it's a Chadwick smile.
It is.
Because Chadwick has that picture of him as a kid with that smirk. And that's what it looks like. It's like 100%. It's that Chadwick smirk for like when you're a kid. Like,
dude,
I wonder if you got it from this.
Dude, Lex Luthor delivered to the prison, Superman flies off and he's in outer space, right? And then what happens, Chadwick?
Do the smoke.
Goes to the little bank and the.
So the movie ends, but before we go on, obviously we make jokes and laugh and have fun here, but Christopher Reeve had the big accident. His wife, if anybody hasn't watched that documentary, it was a fucking amazing human being. Dana took care of him. Unfortunately, she passed away shortly after he did, but just watching that documentary, their family is just fucking amazing people. The Reeve family. So,
his son Will is going to be in the new Superman movie.
That's awesome. I did not know that.
Yes, I did not know that either.
He is some type of a news anchor in real life, and which I actually just got that. Clark Kent is.
Oh wow,
that's cool.
That's pretty badass.
But I think he's also playing like a news anchor.
Man. Good for them. If you guys haven't, go. This one's on. Superman's on Max. That Christopher Reeve documentary is also on Max. It'll pull at the heartstrings, but
he went on to reprise the Jimmy Stewart role from Rear Window, the remake of Rear Window, because he's in a wheelchair already. See, and that's why I chose not to watch this document, is because I didn't want to feel bad about the jokes that I made.
It's like, no, I'm gonna die on
I don't want to humanize the fella.
Yeah, no. But anyway, again, he was friends with
Superman is
Robin.
Not a he.
He was friends with Robin Williams. They were best friends. There's a fun story in that documentary where Robin Williams showed up as a Russian proctologist when Christopher Reeve was just coming out and he was coherent but he's still paralyzed, and then Robin Williams did a whole bit of like, "Oh, you're a big one, aren't you?"
And it's like, what? I should make a movie about this called Patch Adams.
He's like, "You already did it, dude." So let's go through our traditional question. We'll have one more at the very end. What's your favorite line from Superman on this rewatch? I feel like we need that caveat. So your favorite line from Superman, and I'll start, and it's the woman that when the child goes back inside.
Haven't I told you to stop telling lies?
Domestic abuse.
Does that remind you of your childhood? Is that what it is?
Basically, yes.
Okay.
Leaf, what do you got, man? One line.
Dude, you already know, man.
Nice. Gibbs?
Some people can read War and Peace and come away thinking it's a simple adventure story. Others can read the ingredients on a chewing gum wrapper and unlock the secrets of the universe.
That's a great line. Mr. Hackman, R.I.P. Shadow it. Bring us home. Your favorite line.
I'm not going to do what you all think I'm going to do, which is I like Pink very much, Lois. On this rewatch, my favorite line was actually.
But then a man gets older and he thinks very differently, and things get very clear.
I do know one thing, son, that you are here for a reason.
Yeah, dude, that one cuts good, deep, man.
Hashtag more Costner.
And that's all you need. And you don't have to kill the guy.
Yeah, I know. But I guess the death maybe made that one hammer home a little more. I don't fucking know. But the last question, this is our bonus question. Guys, who's your favorite Superman, period? Like, in our lifetime, I probably already know. Christopher Reeve is mine. That is the standard of Superman that I know now. 6'4", like 220, chiseled jaw, the fucking curly jet black hair. That's blue eyes. That's my Superman, dude. Yeah. Leaf, what about you?
Dude, I'm glad you picked on me next, because honestly, dude, like, I'm 100% with you. Christopher Reeve, dude, like, not only because of his portrayal of Superman, but his portrayal of Clark Kent. Mm-hmm. Like, he goes both directions, and they're just so good, and they're so perfect. Like, Clark Kent's is like innocent weirdo, and Superman is just like this generous, charismatic hero.
Just those glasses.
And Christopher Reeve just nails them both for me, man. Like,
Gibbs?
Every time.
Ben Affleck. Mm-hmm. He played George Reeves in Hollywoodland. It's Christopher Reeves. Come on, so far, although, like, we have a Superman movie coming out soon
which we have
I may change. May change my vote on that one.
We have high hopes for this one. Big James Gunn fans.
Yeah, I saw David Corenswet, the new Superman, he also went to Juilliard.
Yeah, I know.
And we've already seen in the trailer that we did the review on, how he goes back and forth between Clark and Superman too.
Yep. And I enjoy that. And it seems like James Gunn, obviously a Donner fan. It seems like he's kind of taken some from our favorite movies for that. Yep. Shadwick, you're the big Superman fan. Which one is your favorite Superman of all time?
Favorite Superman, Christopher Reeve. I actually like Dean Cain's Clark better.
Really?
Because I feel like that's how I would be. There's a lot of scenes where he's just like having fun with his powers, like going and playing basketball, or just like goofing off and having fun with his powers when he's Clark.
Right, just mucking about.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure that doesn't speak the same volumes for the skies.
Yeah,
but
it's fun, and again, like we talked about, it's a TV show. You got to do a lot more. You can't. Yeah. It's a longer run time. So, guys, don't forget, like, subscribe, hit us with the 5-star, tell your friends about us, buy some merch for the love of Christ. You see these? See this logo? It's on a T-shirt. These hats will be available soon, so keep checking out our merch store. And guys, with that, Gibbs, thanks again for joining us. We will take it over to our Norm Macdonald clip of the week.
Dr. William A. Moffat, the world's leading authority on the Dead Sea Scrolls, died this week at age 62. The cause of death? The curse of the Dead Sea Scrolls.